Is going to be me sitting myself by pointing out mistakes I've made in past videos, and that's going to be the first segment of this video before we get to the second one, and let's get started. And also I'm going to be giving CinemaSins along the way. To start off, I'm not going to say anything about the volume in this video since it was your first time making an Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video, but there are two other things I'd like to point out.
She the voodoo queen of the bayou.
We're gonna have to go meet her, aren't we? Why do I get the feeling that this movie is just trying to lily pad its runtime with a side quest?
The point is that Tiana and Naveen are trying to break the spell and become human again. And since Lewis has told them that Mama Odie is a voodoo priest, she seems to be their best bet for breaking the spell.
In that scene, you said priest instead of priestess. And here, a lamp reflection appears in the video from the third day of making it.
Oh, dogs.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
I get that you said that as a response to him referencing Isle of Dogs, but I think that pointing things out on the screen would be a better sin.
Is 100-year-old candy gonna help?
First of all, this candy was labeled as 1921, so at the time of the movie, it's not even 90 yet. And rounding numbers up is for the weak-minded, Coraline. My mom must have told me that 1,000 times.
Ever heard of exaggeration? Coraline was doing that because the taffy is super hard.
I agree with your point, but exaggeration is misspelled here.
Add a Homer's uvula cam to the list of things I never asked to see and might consider suing him.
So you liked that Bart's private was shown, but would complain if Homer's uvula was on screen, which it isn't? That wasn't exactly what he said, because he didn't say he didn't want Homer's uvula shown, just that he doesn't want it shown from that viewpoint.
Crab Silo is definitely traceable to Homer. What doesn't compute, however, is how they would be able to determine that this was the final piece of pollution that got the town domed. They didn't carbon date that so how do they know this wasn't part of the pollution before the mayor's order?
Well, after Lisa's meeting, everyone cleaned the lake, and it became extremely polluted after the silo was dumped in, which resulted in the town being dumped. How does this not make sense to you?
Again, I agree with the point, but became is misspelled here.
With these wrinkles, what is holding this woman together?
God damn, this movie hates old people.
You're misunderstanding, C.
For this scene in the Emperor's New Groove video, you forgot to change the iMovie transition to none and left it as fade here.
Promise of things to come.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Brad Bird, George Clooney, Damon Lindelof, huge budget, and yet...
Bringing up the cast of a completely different movie is not a sin of this one. Here you said bringing, but your captions say bring.
A telephone I could use?
Yes, there's one in the kitchen.
I know this is the 50s and all, but Rachel doesn't ask at all who this asshole is before inviting him into her house?
First, her name is Annie, not Rachel. Second, she may have heard Kent introduce himself to Hogarth.
Well, he may have called her Rachel in reference to the character that Jennifer Aniston, Annie's voice actress, played on the show Friends.
I'm sorry. You're on your way. Just keep going.
Does every incarnation of Spider-Man have to lose a beloved uncle?
No, Uncle Ben doesn't die in the 1994 animated Spider-Man series.
Actually, he does die in that series, according to the viewers.
Okay, let's do this one last time, yeah? For real this time.
If we have to. Oh.
Yes, we do. Since both Peters, Nor, Penny, and Spider-Ham got a Spider-Man introduction, it is now Miles' turn.
I again agree with the point, but you forgot to include Gwen.
I'm organic!
Eat Me, I'm Organic is my new pickup line.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
Actually, that sin should have been Jeremy makes an inappropriate comment cliche. So I'll add sins to both sin counters here.
You know, Riley definitely ain't happy here, but isn't she kinda happy singing this song? She's definitely not disgusted, scared, or angry, so...
I agree that she doesn't feel disgusted, scared, or angry when singing the song, but I don't think she's singing it in a happy way.
Actually, she's really singing in a happy way due to the Triple Hand Gum memory or being in Joy's color.
It was there that I once again ran into Mr. Goody Two-Shoes.
I know, right? It's almost as if the unlikely convenience of your continued childhood interaction is meant to serve as some sort of story plot.
Well, stories have to work with convenient things.
Agreed, but you misspelled convenient here.
You really want to know?
What?
Are you sure you want to know?
What?
Reality TV results shows.
Again, not a sin.
Agreed, but you mistakenly put TV here. For the Hunchback of Notre Dame sin total, you put sin counter instead of sin total right here.
Pretty ridiculous that all these superheroes died and there wasn't one word about it through their network. Sure, they may have gotten out of touch over the years, but all these people dying and not even a whisper about it?
One, their deaths aren't on the news since they're, as you said, all out of touch with each other. And two, the newspapers reporting the supers' alter egos missing are the whispers.
Found another typo. This says alert egos instead of alter egos.
Guess it's a good thing Dash decided to check this cave out at this very moment in time, or else they would have been toast. Unless those suits are as awesome as Edna says they are, where your very face doesn't get burned somehow.
Jack's suit was the only one able to withstand heat.
Well, Dash's suit kinda can as well, since it's designed to withstand friction without heating up or wearing out. For these sins from the home video, you forgot to zoom in on the clips.
All hail Captain O!
Captain O? Was this directed by Francis Ford Coppola?
Again, I know this is a joke, but just like in the Emperor's New Groove video, you forgot to change the iMovie transition from fade to none here. Just like in the home video, you forgot to zoom in on this clip in the Everything Wrong with CinemaSins Sonic the Hedgehog video.
Milestone logo.
Yeah, so how exactly is it wrong here? So the sound of a noise machine got into the recording there, and even though that happens for the whole Tangle video, I'll just add one sin.
Timon and Pumbaa ex machina. But my question is, why do they even give a shit?
Probably because they care enough to help someone out who's about to get eaten. Actually, Timon and Pumbaa didn't show up to save Simba because they didn't know right away that he was there.
Well, it's over now. Benson has joined the battle.
Yes, Benson is another character played by Robert Guillaume, and he's from another completely unrelated series. Just a note, you pronounced the surname wrong. It's actually pronounced Guillaume.
It could let in a child.
Evil guy is evil because everything about his character design and introduction lighting tells me he's evil.
Yeah, so how exactly is that kind of character design wrong here? Maybe because Wire News being revealed as a villain is a plot twist?
Didn't everybody just get off work? Why is Randall so dumb as to do his shady scaring like 5 minutes after quitting time? How fast is it even physically possible for a workplace this large to empty out?
He probably assumes that everyone has left at this point, so he decided it was a good time to cheat and boost his numbers. Just a note, you forgot to put quotation marks here since that isn't what Randall was actually doing.
Articles on this newspaper are the biggest bunch of nonsense we've ever seen here at CinemaSins, and that's saying something. The writer even bothered to write ums and uhs in this thing. Sure, it could be a joke, but what's not a joke is somebody was able to snap this photo of Boo while she rampaged the sushi restaurant.
Yeah, it's not meant to be a joke like you just said. Yes, but also a scene in the movie proves Jeremy's sin wrong.
Oh, good, good. On 3, 1, 2...
So this scream extractor sounds evil, but the only reason is that they're going to have to kidnap kids. But why do they need to do that? Why not bring the machine to the scare floor? Or make it smaller, for Christ's sake? What's different about this machine that's any more unethical than running in and scaring little kids for their screams?
What makes the scream extractor different from regular scaring is that it's supposed to collect scream better than scarers. True, but an additional point to make is this scene.
Also, based on this picture, Alex has pretty decent handwriting for a lion who has paw/hand hybrids. They're still better than regular paws, but one would assume that he would still have a disadvantage.
Like I said earlier, Alex has human characteristics, so I don't think he'd have a disadvantage with writing. I agree with your point, but writing is misspelled here.
Also, what's up with the lipstick whale playing a saxophone in the brass section? That thing has more wood and wind to it than the Porn and Beans festival I hosted last Christmas.
Who cares? You also forgot to add 100 sins for Jeremy makes inappropriate comment cliches, so let's do it here.
He won 3 piston cups.
He did what in his cup?
Oh, come on, that was funny. Also, your side expresses your opinion on this joke, which is not a sin, and I'll be giving out my award yet again. The 2 points are agreed with, but you left out the golf hit sound effect when increasing the sin count, which also happened earlier.
The map of the world was also drawn using children's screams.
The movie doesn't tell us what that map is made with, so I don't exactly know where you're getting that from. Also, even if it was, how would that be a sin? The movie establishes that Scream is what powers Monstropolis, so it would have been helpful to the city, not harmful. Also, what happened to the sin count? It was previously at 10, then it jumped to 1 instead of 11. Point is again agreed with, but you forgot to say just. In this video, Jeremy makes an inappropriate comment cliche used twice, but that line probably doesn't work for a movie that's rated R. In the Toy Story video, CinemaSins used an image from Toy Story 3 when tallying up the sins, and you didn't point that out. And I get why you didn't point out since you don't want to copy Jaxie, but it probably still would have been a good thing to point out.
Pot fighting is illegal!
Well, after Tadashi tells Hiro this, they end up getting arrested along with the others involved with the bot fighting. If Tadashi had waited until he got to the cafe, we probably wouldn't have known why they were being arrested. Good point, but the real sin is that there was no audio there. And again, it's good to not copy others, that being Jaxie again here, but that should have still been pointed out.
Devin's right here. And free!
On the one hand, I'm glad that this movie isn't portraying horny 8th grade boys panting over girls, but on the other, I think just avoiding this behavior in a movie altogether is wise.
Well, this is a coming-of-age story, and also part of May's character is that she likes boys. That's a good point, but if you played the rest of the sin, you would have found an additional thing to point out.
Does it matter what gender is on screen right now when the message to the impressionable is that talking about a person's appeal based on convenience and cost is pretty fucking creepy?
Yeah, he left that swear uncensored, which happens again in the video, which you also missed.
Storing your merchandise where you shit.
Yup, another uncensored swear, so I'll be adding 2 sins to both of the sin counters here. But before I do, I'd like to thank Gabriel Ortiz for pointing this out to me.
Guys, what the absolute is going on with this movie right now? Are we trying to make the Pixar kids grow up to love horror movies? Because this is how you do that.
Personally, I don't see what's wrong with people liking both Pixar movies and horror movies. We can all like different things. I agree with the sin, but I'd like to point out an inconsistency, which is that the F-bomb is censored there, even though it wasn't earlier.
What was that?
That was a tiny kid managing to balance the load of a bust and tray table of pop paraphernalia without struggling or dropping anything. That's what.
The part CinemaSins doesn't show is that May scoffs at Ming when walking away, which is why she says, "What was that?" Your point is again agreed with, but also Jeremy claimed that May didn't drop anything while showing that to not be the case.
Miriam snaps a picture of the kids with the panda, but then the kids walk away like they didn't want the picture at all, so why snap the shot in the first place?
Well, the reason why the kids are walking away is obviously because they already got their picture taken. How does this not make sense to you? Also, you misspelled Miriam here. Agree with the sin about the typo, but for the other one, he does have a point since the kids did walk away without getting the photo from Miriam.
Also, is this signpost made of bones? More like SpongeBob's serial killer pants, am I right?
It's actually made of wood, and this part from the episode Imitation Crabs is one way to show proof of this. True, but also there is no space here, and Fiction Boy pointed that out to me, so thank you.
Oh, your sister! That's great!
Why is Mirabelle mad? This is great news! Okay, Isabella is a little obnoxious, but no more so than losing your family home and the plethora of magic gifts that go with it. Shut up and hug the girl!
Wait, how did you misspell Mirabelle on your yellow text, but spell it correctly on your white text? Point is again completely agreed with, but he also put an extra L in Isabella's name here.
First, we use robot parts to disguise ourselves as the enemy.
This exposition, another moment of forgetting to change the iMovie transition from fade to none, and this happened earlier in the video.
In case you confused it with Paris Hilton, Tokyo Drift, or San Francisco, California.
Like the Birdman said, so one sin for each.
Self-fulfilling prophecies.
That doesn't have anything to do with this, my dude. Yes, it does, because this is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Rodney's invention bot gets drunk because the bartender mistakes it for a mixer, and that's hilarious? Why would alcohol make robots drunk? They f***ing eat grease.
Like I said, they don't drink the grease, they just pour it on themselves. Firstly, just wasn't in the subtitles there, though that point is still good. Secondly, Wonderbot is dizzy, not drunk because he was shaken. Yes, that's exactly what happened here. And here's the end result, everybody. Just a note, the iMovie transition was set to none instead of faded black when going to the sentencing screen, which is similar to this. They do take the video down, so this is a redo. And like I said before, I'm dedicating this video and giving a thanks to my best friend Jake for requesting it. Enjoy, everybody.
22 golden Cheerios.
Don't look back!
In addition to training at Juilliard, Robin Williams attended the Prometheus School of Running Away from Things.
But they run into another room to avoid getting crushed, so they didn't exactly attend the Prometheus School of Running Away from Things. Point is again agree with, but you forgot to put a space here.
Who am I fooling?
I mean, you haven't met anyone yet, so technically nobody, but with zero effort to fool anyone yet, your discouragement over the ruse is premature.
But in the previous scene, Khan laughed at Mulan when she was practicing talking in a deeper voice, which is what made her feel discouraged. Also, there's a typo. This says your instead of your.
We're supposed to be annoyed by this guy, but consider this. He stood like this for hours while this portrait was painted just so he could have the fanboy moment captured for all time. That is dedication on a nerd level we should all appreciate.
Seriously, Jeremy? You had plenty of opportunities to remove us into this amazing movie, such as Eddie Murphy's hilarious performance as Mushu, but when you finally do, it's for something nobody cares about since nobody likes this character? Point is again agree with, but plenty is misspelled here.
We should hang out.
Why is Monkey the only one who wants to hang out with him, even in his own fantasy? Also, this is one of the 7 brief times Jackie Chan as Monkey gets to speak.
Yes, this is the first time Monkey speaks in the film, but I counted 9 lines from him, not 7. Close. Jackie Chan actually has 12 lines, and here they all are.
How is Poe's father a duck? I mean, I'm all for adoption or animal-based movies, but in early China, a duck adopting a panda? I just don't see it.
First of all, Mr. Ping is a goose, not a duck. I don't need to play the next sin here because I'd like to say that the sin count was previously at 8 and isn't at 9 here when it should be.
I understand why Moses just surrenders to the sandstorm, but I'm not sure how it doesn't kill him, or at least eat off half his skin. Has the movie ever sandstormed?
Well, as I've said many times before, in these types of movies, the main character, meaning the protagonist, doesn't die. Also, the O in or should have been capitalized here, and Fiction Boy again pointed that out to me, so thank you for that. For this sin in the Prince of Egypt, you zoomed in far on the clip, and Fiction Boy again pointed that out, so thank you. In the Aladdin video, the Robin Williams shoutout is appreciated, but I think it would have been nice to shout out Gilbert Gottfried and Douglas Seal as well.
By far, spotting the lamp right now is just lazy writing.
I see it as more of a convenience than lazy writing, which you probably would have sinned it for. Also, if you're going to call something lazy, at least explain why. I'm not going to show the part with the turning red comment as I don't need to because I just want to say that the golf hit sound didn't play there.
So far we have objects coming alive from Toy Story, the daughter won't play her role from Brave, and now lightning's jump over the car finish from Cars. Only 8 minutes in and I think I've already won my game of Pixar Bingo.
Personally, I think you should have given a different animated movie example for that daughter won't play her role thing you said, like The Little Mermaid. You know, because this movie came out a whole year before Brave did. Also, McQueen's jump happened way before the final lap of the first race.
So, are they gonna do it right in front of the mushroom and the flamingo?
Yeah, they do plan on kissing in front of them. Also, you forgot to say Jeremy makes an inappropriate comment cliche, so we'll add another 100 cents for them here.
Where the f did he get that? Woody left it outside, remember? And who at this messy-ass daycare would have noticed it and actually put it back inside? Or else this suggests someone on Lotso's evil team managed to get outside the daycare walls to grab this hat here by the road.
Well, it is established in the film that Lotso knew of Woody's escape, so it's possible that someone on his team found and brought it to him earlier. Also, Jeremy forgot to say hat there.
Toys have the power to lift giant TVs up. Just wanted to let you guys know that.
Well, since you didn't explain why that's wrong here, I'm finally going to be giving out my award in this video. You worded your text wrong there.
Also, how the f does this large-ass claw somehow pick up every single toy in danger without a single one slipping through the— oh, f it, like I really care.
Yeah, you shouldn't care at all since this is an animated movie. Here you said movie, but your captions say film.
That can't be legal. The rules only say the number has to be out there. Doesn't say who has to wear it.
What?
So doesn't that give you a reason as to why crews can compete mid-race? Good point, but your captions are missing that.
Oh no, the incompetent agents led by the incompetent agent in charge got blowed up because they didn't listen to Lee. This comes as an absolute shock to anyone who's ever seen an action movie before.
Narration. Also, Jeremy said blowed up instead of blown up.
Killer at 3 o'clock.
You are looking directly in front of you. That's noon if I ever saw noon. What the f***, movie? How do you fuck this up?
Wait, your text makes it seem like you censored that F-bomb, but you didn't censor it. Also, this isn't a sin, but I'd like to say that I don't know how I missed that before with these, but I'll make sure not to do that this time. Just to note, the golf head sound didn't play when the sin count changed.
Everyone gets let into the club except our protagonist. This movie's playing the hits.
Narration. Also, the period is missing here. And Fiction Boy, again, let me know that, so thank you for that.
Takes place on an island on what appears to be a dried-up riverbed, which makes me wonder where the river is. Is there a drought? If so, why is the surrounding foliage still so green?
You do have a good point there, but I'm just wondering out of curiosity, why are you seeing a Spanish version of this film? Good point, but Spanish is misspelled here. Also, for the final part of the sin, Jeremy questions why this doesn't take place on a river despite saying it takes place on a riverbed. Except Puss was asking that question to the giant, meaning that that wasn't a fourth wall break.
You died.
The golf hit sound didn't play there.
Also, what does the happily ever after look like here? How the f does he intend to hide the planet once he's created it?
You do know that the new planet Umbris gets destroyed later, right? Actually, Drek's artificial planet was called New Quartu, not Umbris. When giving the sin total for the Ratchet and Clank video, you said 308 instead of 358. Also, this exposition is needed for those who are unfamiliar with Mexican culture or Dia de los Muertos. Here you said Dia de los Muertos, but Los is missing in the captions.
My Coco.
Roll Go-Go's!
Like Blake said in his Home Alone video, this is not the first time the title of the movie has been said, Jeremy. Coco's name was already said at least 5 times prior by my count. Close, it was actually 7 times.
Why does Bowser's Blast turn an ungloved Koopa into a gloved Drybone?
Because the Drybones are the undead version of the Koopa Troopas. Well, according to the viewers, he might have been asking why the Koopa Troopa had no gloves first, but then gained gloves as a Drybone. And if that is the case, I'll just say that it's cartoon logic.
She just turned into Elsa from Frozen to fight Bowser's fire, and that is copyright infringement.
You do know that the Ice Flower first made an appearance in a video game that was released 21 years before Frozen came out, right? You're right that the Ice Flower first appeared 21 years before Frozen came out, but the video game actually came out 8 years prior. When the Ice Flower made its debut, it was in a manga series. For this clip from Metal Sonic 420's Wonder video, you forgot to zoom in on it.
Getting hungry.
Do sponges have digestive systems? I always thought he was basically a kitchen cleaner sponge with pants up square.
So, a sponge being able to talk and generally do things a living person can do are fine, but him having a digestive system is going too far for you? Good point, but the S in person is missing here.
Main character is having a vision where his dead father shows up and tells him what he has to do to embrace his identity and fulfill his destiny. Now where have I seen that before?
Yeah, where have you seen it before, Jeremy? Pretty sure he's referring to The Lion King.
Also, an infinite pocket dimension where you can store gadgets and weapons seems super useful, and I look forward to seeing how our heroes utilize this technology to save the day.
Firstly, it's the Vulture, the bad guy with hammer space. I'm not going to play the other part of the sin because I just want to point out that you forgot to say AKA here.
Stop what you're doing and stop Spider-Man. Ay, coño, Miles Morales.
Yeah, this confusion is on you, asshole. What did you expect saying stop Spider-Man would get you?
You got the Spanish wrong here, Jer. What Miguel said was ay coño, not ayuno. Also, Miguel said stop what you're doing, not drop what you're doing. Now, for the second segment, I'm going to be bringing up points from Simpsons videos that I previously covered, and these are going to be points that I missed, and I'm going to be giving sins to myself for missing the points and to Simpsons for the points being wrong, and it's going to be from these following videos. With all that said and shown, let's dive into it.
Aladdin grabs the sword, hands it to Jasmine, who hides it behind her back, but as they walk away, it's completely missing. Honestly, there are so many animation continuity errors in this thing, let's just throw on an extra 20 sins and move on.
Yeah, that's definitely an animation error, but you're yet again padding the sin count, Jer.
This flower is clearly on Jasmine's left in the real world and in the water. Considering that this is the second time this movie has forgotten how to mirror correctly, I'm adding 5 sins in the hopes it will cause the movie to take some time to reflect.
And here we have another sin count pad, just like Fiction Boy pointed out to me.
To accept this Trojan horse ornament ball thing, we have to ignore...
And let's not go into that, and sin you for taking this animated movie at face value and giving it 500 sins.
You mean like this? Or like this? Or this? Or this?
Okay, on one hand, this show does make me giggle sometimes. But on the other hand, I don't understand why SpongeBob's sleeves don't fall off when he removes his arms. And if you don't know which hand I'm going to go with, welcome to your first Sins video experience. Hope you stick around.
Sinning something you like Fiction Boy pointed out to me.
Shrek tears out one page, but the story in the book skips ahead all the way to the wedding of the princess and the knight.
Well, like Eddie pointed out, there are 2 sides to every page, so there was likely another scenario on the other side of the torn page.
Hey, cutie! Wanna pollinate with a real bug?
This is one of those moments that I didn't realize I should be disgusted by until I became an adult.
Which is ironic coming from the guy who makes sexual jokes in his videos.
Now, wait a minute. This soccer ball was clearly under the bed in the previous shot. The skateboard would have made more sense. Now the skateboard isn't even here. Hell, the toy racetrack isn't even here. And definitely not a half-played game of jacks.
Well, you can actually see the skateboard here. And I know the Birdman did already say that, but remember, I did Monsters, Inc. before him.
Also, how did Monsters ever figure out that Screams powered things? How did they first collect it? And this seems like something you should have an abundance of, what with WAV files and digital copies and whatnot.
Well, that wouldn't really serve a purpose to the story here, and also not everything needs to be explained for a movie to tell its story.
This is a cute moment, but the movie literally hinges entirely on the notion that Sully is somehow incapable of putting this child inside her room and closing the door before she slips back out.
Well, aside from a movie always needing to hinge on something, that's not uncommon with children, so it's not super surprising.
Celia shows up out of nowhere so that she can yell at Mikey and Randall can figure out that they were at the sushi place last night.
Narration.
Kid has been wandering free in Monsters, Inc. without one monster seeing her.
How do you know that? Maybe Monster did notice her, they just think she's a monster kid since she has the suit on, like Andy Englison said.
2.5 years of undercover work were almost wasted.
It took you 2.5 years to figure out what was going on here? And why were you investigating them in the first place?
That's not what Roz was saying. She meant that she'd been undercover for 2.5 years, like My Animation said.
Listen, if this is how fucking great it looked when Mario pipe warped between worlds and we never got to see it until now, I'm really upset.
So what makes this the movie's fault then, Jeremy?
You don't seem like you're from here.
I don't know where I'm from.
You don't? You instantly recognize this human as a human, and he looks more like you than you do any of the Mushroom Kingdom folk. How do you not wonder if you might be human?
But that wasn't what she said. She said, I don't know where I'm from.
That's what they came here for!
Man, Seth Rogen sounds even more like himself than Charlie Day does. Did they even know what movie they were doing audio for? Is that why the voice work is so generic?
And Seth Rogen did this because he felt like Donkey Kong's dynamic with Mario was funny and that he didn't need to change his voice for it.
So, due to the catsuit, Mario somehow kicks Donkey's ass. And I liked it better when Donkey just threw barrels from up above and Mario had to jump or dodge the barrels. If we're gonna do movie scenes ripped from video games, why didn't we do the barrels?
Well, the barrels were included as you can see here. And I know you didn't point out to not sound like you were copying Captivator, but probably still would have been good to point out.
Also, if you look closely, the Fix-It Felix game apparently only has one level. There's apparently nowhere to go after this.
Well, it's not uncommon for video games to have only one level, so...
I'm Zangief, I'm bad guy.
Is he though? In the original Street Fighter II, Zangief was just another character you could play, just like Guile or E. Honda or Blanca.
Sure, Zangief isn't a bad guy, but he's here because the film's writer never beat him, so he wanted Zangief to feel for those he always beat.
All hail our rightful ruler.
Meh character somehow went back in time from the Emoji Movie and inspired itself, and now it's its own grandpa.
Really? The Emoji Movie didn't invent meh characters, Jer.
Here's the thing movies always do with races, where the hero starts out so f***ing far behind that there's literally no way they could ever catch up, let alone win, and yet, of course, they always f***ing do.
So how is that a fault of this movie specifically?
We don't have much food. I still have to go to the grocery store.
Hands off, mister. Those are for your party tonight.
So she planned ahead for the party in regard to groceries, but not her family's daily meal needs?
Well, yeah, like Eddie said, why not plan ahead for a birthday party?
Believe with every step.
But he did believe with that step. He was excited and confident. Maybe he meant concentrate. Maybe he meant focus. Maybe he meant the story needed another fail so the tension could amp up.
Actually, what happened was that Ian realized he was walking onto nothing, so he nearly fell. And I'll shout out Eddie again here.
This is actually kind of cool.
But also impossible. I'm not saying cheese puffs wouldn't float. I'm just saying that in liquid and at that speed, that puffy cheese phallus would disintegrate faster than a non-important MCU character before Endgame.
Okay, here I'm going to sing you for both that inappropriate comment and the fact that the cheese puff doesn't have to follow real-world physics.
This pile of rubble landed with not one, not two, but 3 convenient plot-based peepholes. Plot holes?
Pointing things out on the screen.
Watching Ian watch his dad interact with and hug Barley makes me realize Ian got kind of a deal here. I know the movie makes Ian okay with it, but that's bullshit. Ian should get to see his dad.
Well, like Fiction Boy said, the reason for this is because Ian accepted Barley as his guardian figure while Barley didn't have a guardian figure.
When the trash bags come out, we Army guys are the first to go.
So many thoughts sprung up here. First off, the Army guys have a network of other Army guys, where they know they're the first to go when it's time to clean out toys. Second off, there are only 3 Army guys here, so they've apparently left the hundreds of other Army guys to be trashed. Third off, they do this despite a decent chance of getting seen. Fourth, I guess they just knock around people's houses until they find a bunch of other Army guys.
Actually, for that last part, the Green Army men end up at Sunnyside at the end, like Captain Vader said.
It's crazy how many license plates in this world have A113 on them. That's gotta make the cop's job harder, and the DMV's job the easiest ever.
Except Andy's mom's car is the only car in this world that has that, so...
F.A.O. my Schwartz.
Taking a toy store's name in vain while hacking up a Spaceballs reference.
Says the guy who always sends movies for pop culture references.
How the f did that happen? The dumpster door was completely closed when they started running across it. Now he's stuck in the door? Come on. And of course, that's the way the Ned Beatty Bear gets Woody into the dumpster.
Yes, this is an actual sin, but the only problem is that you played this clip after this sin, and the footage there came after this.
The needs of the one. Oh, god damn it, the needs of the many outweigh the... Oh, f it.
Good morning, doorway. Good morning, Walt.
Even a chipper, frequent hello person wouldn't say hello to their bedroom doorway every day. I mean, come on, the doorway? And not the door itself.
Well, there was no door there, so Emmett didn't need to do that.
Batman!
How in the f does Emmett know who Batman is? He lives in Bricksburg, remember? A place where everything is generic, and the only thing on the TV is where are my pants? You think President Business is going to allow a vigilante superhero to be shown on public media?
Except Where Are My Pants isn't the only thing on TV in Bricksburg, because earlier in the movie Emmett told Bad Cop that he watches a lot of cop shows on TV.
No babysitters, no bedtimes, no frowny faces, no bushy mustaches.
I understand the rest, but why the war on mustaches? Some of that is painted right on their face, and they can't help it. Of course, we saw Emmett shave his face a while back, so what do I know what's real?
Your captions here say they can help it, even though you said they can't help it.
Pirate Lego Ex Machina.
But this is not a Deus Ex Machina since we already met Metalbeard.
Permanently.
Holy dude, why didn't you go ahead and use the glue when you so obviously meant to use it for your model?
Because he's always working, like Eddie said.
Finn, did you make all of this?
Suddenly, this father thinks what his son did is remarkable, even though just a couple minutes ago, everything he did was terrible.
And this is because the man upstairs was looking at what Finn had created and began to realize the kind of imagination he had.
I didn't quite hear that last part, but it sounded important.
How does Megamind even remember this in such detail? Does this race have a photographic memory from conception? Because honestly, the ramifications for that are a bit unsettling.
Probably not, since this is what happens with conception.
Sure, the gravitational pull of that black hole type thingy is enough to be pulling that entire planet in at an astonishing rate. But an escape pod the size of an infant? No worries. It's definitely gonna break free.
Okay, I'll just explain this again with that Magic School Bus clip that I used in the home video.
The pull of gravity is caused by the whole Earth pulling down on everything and everyone on it. The bigger the planet, the stronger the pull. The smaller the planet, the weaker the pull.
Reading.
Yeah, so?
I did it! Atrocity is mine!
If by did it, Megamind means he committed brutal murder, then yeah, I guess he f***ing did it. F***ing dark-ass kids movie.
Well, animated movies in general do have dark things to tell their stories.
Code, we're the good guys now.
Code, I guess we are.
Code, this running code gag should have ended 40 minutes ago.
Code, sorry it's not going the way you want, man.
Oov do not have neighbors.
How the f*** do these assholes reproduce? They don't party, they don't have neighbors, they always run away from things. I'm gonna guess it's some kind of spore reproduction, but that's entirely a guess.
Well, that's not something the movie's gonna explain anyway, Jer.
The Boov just got here. I mean, they're still moving in and everything. So how did Tip have enough time to not only set up her hideaway here, but create all this anti-Boov propaganda?
Because the Boov arrived during the day, like Gabriel Ortiz said.
We talk only because I'm not allowed to move.
You are always saying the funny things.
Why is O the only one that consistently talks like this? I know he's supposed to be weird and offensive to the boov, but there's no reason why he always talks how we think an alien should talk, and the others just occasionally do it.
Except O isn't the only boov that talks like that, as all of them do, such as when Smek said best of yet instead of best yet.
What did I say?
We interrupt this home movie to bring you an episode of Tom and Jerry.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
Okay, seriously, movie, what's the timeline here? Because it's still the same night that Sheldon and Rihanna escaped. Twice. Then the Grand Poobah did his world broadcast. Then the boov police started looking for them in the same place after O had fixed the car. So when did O have the f***ing time to install a goddamn hot dog machine in the car?
Probably during the time he was changing Tip's car.
Oh, please, come on! I need ideas!
This story is so bare that the screenwriter's margin notes made it into the actual script.
Jeremy says something random again.
Hello? I'll have to call you back.
American woman steps off plane in Paris and puts American coin into payphone, and guess what? It works!
Well, we don't see the coin Kate uses, so how can you be sure of that?
Water is poured on the sidewalk, but Kevin is out here in just a sweater, so it's highly unlikely this would freeze in time for Harry and Marv to show up.
Firstly, Kevin is pouring water on the steps, not on the sidewalk. Secondly, considering that this movie takes place in a setting that is cold and snowy, the water probably would freeze in time.
It should be noted that Harry is breaking and entering in full view of the rest of the block, which we've seen has several parties going on. You're telling me no one's outside on a smoke break and noticed the bad dude trying to break into the nice house?
Is that just something you've seen? Because that's not in the movie at all.
Kevin turns this impeccably designed unholy house of pain into a damn foot race at the end.
Narration.
And while I'm at it, how convenient is it that Andy's not home right now?
And without that, the movie wouldn't happen, Jer.
Say hello to the prospector!
Do you get the sense that Joan Cusack signed up for this because she thought it was the sequel to Toys? Oh wait, nobody would do that. Stupid question.
And you still gave the movie a sin?
Why, the prodigal son has returned.
You know he's evil because the voice is Sideshow Bob.
Kelsey Grammer voicing Stinky Pete is more of a fact, Jer.
Every single one of these tapes is episodes 4 through 6.
Actually, if you look closely, you can see that one says 4 through 5.
Well, lucky Bullseye decided to wake up and join Woody then, because I don't think he could have climbed the couch without it.
Yeah, so?
How are Buzz's feet protruding through this pet carrier's floor in order to propel it along the carpet?
Because there are 2 holes at the bottom, like Andy Englison said.
Dude, keep it together.
I can't! We need to see this concert!
Whoa, wait. The scene before this was May getting angry about this kid teasing her about her mom. May got mad and chucked a ball at his head so hard it broke a window and probably killed the class's pet turtle. But now she's worked up because of this concert? Come on, movie, stay focused! I can't be the only person motivated to get to the end of this.
Firstly, May's technically feeling both of those things, though she and her friends are thinking more about the concert, so the focus is there. And secondly, what you said here again implies you don't like watching movies.
You said the concert was the 18th.
Sure, the third act misunderstanding is plenty convenient to sin on its own, but the timing of them hearing it on the radio at this very moment on this rooftop? Wait, were they recklessly dancing around on a rooftop? Are they trying?
Okay, I don't have a problem with the last part of your sin, but I would like to say without convenient things, the movie's story wouldn't happen.
This camcorder is not only sitting here for some reason, it also just happens to be charged up, get knocked off onto the floor, somehow start automatically playing, and be in the exact right place for Jin to have this moment. Well, isn't that convenient?
Yeah, because like I said, that's how movies work.
I find it interesting that as May is flashing back to the high points of her panda time, that this moment of scaring the shit out of strangers is top of the list.
Aha, found an inconsistency. You censored that swear there, even though you forgot to do that in this sin.
On this jump, you can see that May May leaves her ceremonial robe behind when she transforms. And that's a nice thematic touch and all, but I now have questions about how far off clothing must be before it leaves the magical modesty zone of transforming with May May. Like, is it points of contact? How does this impact her glasses? If the glasses are jostling off her face a bit during transformation, do they not transform with her? And does that mean Panda May can't see?
Firstly, May has been shown to be able to see as a red panda the whole movie, so that would mean her glasses do transform with her. And secondly, as shown by that part, she moved away from the robe when she transformed, which is why it was left behind by her.
I lied, Mom!
What? I've always said that one thing that most kaiju fights have lacked is a moment where the one kaiju stops to have a heart-to-heart with the other kaiju. Glad we're finally rectifying that.
Sinning something you like.
How are those rabbits not super pissed that Poe and his dad are just chit-chatting and not serving them soup?
Aside from you showing that Mr. Ping is giving them their food, there is only one rabbit at the counter, and a pig is with that rabbit.
I hope that was a challenging special order for that pig. If not, I don't understand how this is the most popular noodle shop in the Valley of Peace.
Wait, so why didn't you revise that previously if you knew there weren't multiple rabbits, Jer?
1,000 guards and 1 prisoner.
All subsidized by Valley of Peace tax dollars. Ridiculous. What must the taxes be like for these citizens?
Well, nothing in the movie raised that question, and I don't see what purpose explaining that would have on the story at all.
This takes the henchmen are terrible shots cliche to a whole new level. They have giant crossbows on mounts, and he is still relatively restrained.
Well, it's not that the rhinos have a bad aim, it's more so the fact that Tai Lung was able to move and dodge the crossbows.
Man, that prison is really f***ing far away, dude.
And what's the problem with that?
That should have killed him, right? Is he dead? I'm willing to suspend disbelief for animal kung fu scenes that involve a mantis holding up a giant rope bridge filled with tigers and leopards, but smacking into the rocks like that is going to bust up a skull. Never mind.
Wait, you said tigers and leopards there, which means that you know that a snow leopard is the kind of animal that Tai Lung is, which makes me wonder why you called him a tiger in this scene.
What if we tried a little experiment, Diane?
Letting a general citizen try an experiment with likely perpetrators of multiple felonies who are already in custody.
Well, aside from the fact that Diane didn't agree right away, there's also the fact that Marmalade is seen as a flower of goodness, so...
My cousin got hit on the head with an anchor, and after that, he only swam in a circle.
At first I thought this was a reference to the other DreamWorks property, Shark Tale, but Frankie definitely died in that one, so this is just a missed opportunity to create a shared universe.
I agree with your point, but the B in but is uppercase here.
Oh yeah? If they loved us so much, how come we're in prison for a crime we didn't commit?
Snake is absolutely right. Every one of those people at that party is super fickle and complicit in all the douchebaggery going on in this town.
Well, that makes sense when you ignore the fact that the bad guys have been stealing things and committing crimes for their entire lives. Also, you forgot to put a space in everyone here.
The one guy I thought I could trust stabbed me in the back.
That's your front.
Taking a figurative phrase at face value, like Mason said.
This is the Zumpango diamond, but this was stolen by the... by the Crimson Paw!
Movie doesn't realize that even though Professor Marmalade is a criminal, him being locked up for a crime he didn't commit is still a miscarriage of justice.
And that's an example of karma, Jer, since Marmalade did the same thing with the bad guys by framing them for stealing the meteorite. So regardless of it being fair or not, he deserved it. And we finally reached the end, everybody, and the Luke Doty sin total is 160, and the sentence will be, work hard and do your best. And as for the sins I gave to CinemaSins, we'll tally this up to 725 and sentence them to watching everything wrong with CinemaSins videos. Have a nice day, everybody.